Good morning. Today is December 31st, 2012, and I'm going to be doing a video on coffee. So listen up if you're interested in diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, weight control, prostate cancer, breast cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, improved performance, gallstones, colon cancer, and lower risk of liver damage. Okay, so watch the whole video through if you have an interest in any of those. Might be hard to believe what you're going to hear, but hang on. Don't forget, it's easier to believe what you've been taught than to investigate the truth. First things first, do your own research. Go to scholar.google.com, again, scholar.google.com, and look into, type coffee and anything I'm telling you, just to see what the research says. So don't believe me, check it out for yourself. There's a lot of categories I'm going to be putting things in, so things might seem slightly disorganized, but after 12 years of research, I'm trying to put everything in one short video. Okay, first thing, common sense. We have half the world's population drinking copious quantities of coffee for 4 centuries. When people do things wrong for a short period of time, we find out about it and we give it a disease. Let's say we all start smoking. By the 1930s, 20s, we start getting regular cigarettes. It doesn't take us very long to figure out we've got lung cancer. Maybe 40 years at the outskirt, now we're just kind of cleaning up a mess. When the world starts eating sugar, we now have diabetes. At the turn of the century, it was 1 out of 100,000. Right now, our children are being born at a ratio of 1 out of 2. So when you do something wrong for a prolonged period of time, we name it, identify it, give it a disease name, and we try to create a treatment. People have been drinking coffee for 400 years around the world, and unless we're just having a conspiracy where we're missing something that big, that global, for that long, it doesn't do anything. But let's continue. Counterindications, the only people I suggest who don't drink coffee. I'm not a big fan of pregnant women drinking coffee. I don't see a lot of research on it, so I'm a safety guy. Protect the baby, babies first, especially in the first trimester. Doctors also advise, according to the Journal of Gastroenterology, Supplemental 1999, issue 230, page 35, that people with reflux shouldn't drink coffee. So I'll go on board with them because it promotes reflux and can cause scarring of the esophageal tissue, might promote cancer esophageal tissue. So let's not aggravate a situation that's already bad. Let's take the next issue, caffeine. Caffeine gets a lot of buzz, a lot of press. Some people say don't do it, it's bad, it's addictive, it's a stimulant. So let's just see what the downturn's on. If you drink a lot of caffeine before you go to bed, you probably won't sleep. If you're an anxious or stressed out person, a lot of caffeine might ramp you up, so drink appropriately. Caffeine is a diuretic, so let's address that one. Yes, you pee free fractioned water, which means any water your body doesn't want or doesn't need, it will get rid of. Doesn't mean it gets rid of the water you do need. Where if you take a caffeine pill, yes, it's a dehydrant because there's no fluids with it. When you drink coffee, depending on how concentrated you make it, you've got plenty of water in there to be offset by the caffeine. So there you go. Don't take a lot of caffeine pills. What makes coffee work for the benefits we'll soon get into? There's a little speculation. There's phytonutrients, phytochemicals, a few buzzwords you can look up. One's called phenolic compound, PHENOLIC compound. Another one's called chlorogenic acid, CHLOROGENIC acid. And the last one's an opioid receptor blocker called cafestrol, CAFESTROL, cafestrol. So those are the 3 buzzwords you're going to want to look up when you're researching. And we're going to get into what's it helping, how much and why, and where did I learn this stuff from. So Parkinson's and Alzheimer's will be the first one. Studies have shown that caffeine intake is associated with a reduced risk of developing Parkinson's disease in men, but in women it's been inconclusive. That's from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. So you can Google that, or you can throw it in your Medline or your web search or your PubMed search or your Mayo search. There's a myth that caffeine weakens your bones. It only takes a teaspoon of dark greens or less than 1 serving of dark greens to undo any effect that caffeine has on bone density. We've known that since the 80s, so I wouldn't believe that. Or you'd see all of India, all of China, all of Africa, all have osteoporosis, considering they don't even have a dairy group, and there's no world pandemic osteoporosis. That'll be a different video for a later time. But it doesn't make your bones weak. Don't worry about it. Still, coffee seems to improve memory, improve performance. 2004 and 2000 women's studies on the Harvard Women's Health Watch. That's what you're going to want to Google. They talked about it helping decrease type 2 diabetes, decrease colon cancer, gallstones, and having lower risk of liver damage. It's 2004 to 2007 issue of Harvard Women's Health Watch. So if you want to argue, go call Harvard. Studies have shown that the risk for type 2 diabetes is lower amongst regular coffee drinkers than those who didn't drink it at all. Also, coffee may reduce the risk of developing gallstones, discourage the development of colon cancer, improve cognitive function, reduce the risk of liver damage in people at high risk for liver disease like alcoholics or heavy pharmaceuticals. I don't know who's taking any pharmacy. Gee, the U.S. ranks at 40 to 45% of the world's global consumption. And coffee's also been known to improve in performance in long-duration physical activities, probably because it's partly a stimulant, probably because of properties we can't name. Type 2 diabetes. Preliminary studies suggest that drinking regular amounts of coffee lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes. What percentage are we talking about and where do we learn it? Journal of American Medical Association finds that people who drink coffee 4 to 6 cups a day have a 28% lower risk of developing diabetes. 28%, that's quite a bit, folks. You may not like its flavor, you may not like its taste, but 28% lower diabetes, worth looking into. Research arrives at those numbers by pulling the results of 9 different studies in the United States and around the world. Next one on diabetes. The Annals of Internal Medicine details a Dutch study. Drinking wherever Dutch people live, 7 or more cups a day, having lower risks of diabetes. And you can look that up in the Coffee Consumption and Risk for Type 2 Diabetes, Mellitus, Annals of Internal Medicine, January 2004, Volume 140, pages 1 to 8. There's also a Japanese collaborative cohort study for the evaluation of cancer, which details 110,000 adults in Japan over 16 years. And it says that if you drink more than 3 cups of coffee, you had a 33 to 42% decrease of diabetes. And that was from Andy Weil's website. He's an MD, believes in naturopathic stuff. But you might want to look up the Japanese collaborative cohort study. So you're looking at up to a 40%. So, you know, the numbers are arguable, but 28 to 42% is a healthy range of decreasing your risk of diabetes, especially if you have diabetes in your family, or we live in a culture that breeds diabetes. Liver cancer is the next one. February 16th, 2005 issue, the Journal of National Cancer Institute detailed a study on coffee and cancer. First found out that the decreased risk of liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, or HCC, decreases from coffee consumption. Look into Dr. Inoue, I don't know how you pronounce that. He's an MD, PhD at the National Cancer Center in Tokyo. Heart failure risk. Here's a fun one. Coffee consumption decreases heart failure. Our research suggests that long-term coffee consumption can decrease heart issues. Let's start with Dr. Esther Lopez Garcia, assistant professor of the Anatomia University in Madrid, Spain. June 17th, in the Annals of Internal Medicine, the research base was 42,000 men and 84,000 women participated in the study, and they had a 25% lower risk of death from heart disease during any follow-up studies. Women had an 18% lower, men had a 25% versus non-coffee drinkers. June 26, 2012, drinking coffee in moderate consumptions may reduce your risk of heart failure, by Dr. Middleman, PhD, MD, Director of Cardiovascular Epidemiology at Bethel Israel Medical Center. 4 studies were done in Sweden. The 5th was done in Finland. In this group, they said that drinking coffee reduced heart risk failure at 11% by Dr. Middleman. Another journal from the American Heart Institute, from the Journal of Circulation of Heart Failure, said to drink coffee. And my last favorite one by Dr. Arthur Klatsky, Klatsky, a cardiologist at Kaiser Permanente, Northern California District. Research says people who are at risk for heart failure, who should drink moderate coffee, should not be told to abstain. So people could argue with another cardiologist working for an insurance group. They're always trying to protect their end game and their payouts. Prostate cancer. Let's see. Coffee can reduce prostate cancer. There's a study of 50,000 male health professionals for more than 2 decades. According to the research, for the men who drank the coffee, the risk of getting prostate cancer was up to 60% lower, according to the Journal of National Cancer Institute, May 17th, 2011. Coffee drinkers may live longer. There's a fun one. Monday, June 16th, 2008. Coffee, because it's a potential opioid receptor antagonist, which means it blocks the opioid receptor, which means you're not as hungry and not craving food, not eating sugar, decreases your risk of being overweight, decreases your risk of diabetes, reduces your addictive power to sugar, and that will increase longevity. Death was a fun topic. According to the National Cancer Institute, research turned into data on 402,000 adults between ages of 50 to 70, and they joined the NIH AARP Diet and Health Study. They had volunteers all the way up to 2008, or until they died, whichever came first. And they said that 4 to 5 cups a day had a 12% decrease risk on death on a comparative group. And the relationship between coffee and death was even more dramatic in women. Those who drank 1 cup a day had 5%, and when you got up to 4 to 5 cups a day, you dropped 16%. So you can argue with the National Institutes of Health and the National Cancer Institute on their small group of 400,000 people. A couple more to go. We got dementia and Alzheimer's. Drinking coffee reduces dementia and Alzheimer's up to 65%, according to a study from 2009. Research in Finland and Sweden examined the records of 1,500 people, so a smaller group. There's another one from the January issue of the Journal of Alzheimer's and Disease, 2009. And that's the article that says the lowest risk was found among the moderate coffee drinkers. Moderate coffee drinkers had a 65 to 70% decreased risk of dementia and a 62 to 64% decreased risk of Alzheimer's, compared with low coffee drinkers, the researchers write. Gallstones is the last one. Coffee to prevent gallstones. New results show that a large group did show a 25% lower risk of gallstones among women who drank coffee regularly, 4 to 6 cups or more a day, compared to women who drank none. This was published 2002 in the Journal of Gastroenterology. They did a peer review of 80,000 women over 20 years, the Harvard Nurses Health Study. Short end of the story is either we've got an awful lot of conspiracy from an awful lot of journals from an awful lot of countries over a vast quantity of time, or there's probably some good benefits in it you should look into. Again, don't trust me, look at the research. In the end, is coffee bad? No. Is all the crap you're putting in it to deal with the taste of it? Probably so. Should you put it in there? Probably not. You may or may not like the flavor, you may or may not like its taste, but you should like the benefits. Look into it. Don't forget it's easier to do what you've been taught than to investigate the truth.